This year has been absolutely amazing for new releases in metal, hardcore, and alternative music. And as 22 has now come to a close and we're starting to get into the next year, I'd like to just go through some of my favorite albums of the year and just kind of break down what I thought was some of the best music released this year. Now, a few quick little disclaimers. This is just my personal list. I'm not saying that these are the best albums. I'm just saying these are the ones I enjoyed the most and that fit my taste and my style the best. Your list probably looks very different from mine, but that's okay. We all have different taste, and that's all valid. There was also a ton of albums that I really, really wanted to listen to, but just haven't found the time to. And some of those are really big releases, and you're probably going to be surprised that some of them aren't on here, but it's just because I didn't get a chance to listen to them in time. I've been putting this video off long enough, so I just really want to get into this and break down my top albums of the year for 2022. At number 15, we have Voyeurist by Underoath. This album is a really great improvement over their sound on Erase Me. I really, really appreciate the inclusion of more vocals from Aaron, the really grimy and grungy atmosphere on this record, and just kind of the overall ferocity that came back with this album. It's a really, really great listen. Not my favorite Underoath album of all time, but I think they're back on the right track after the reunion, and I'm really excited to see what comes next. At number 14, we have The Price of Dreaming by Hollow Front. This album is fantastic. This band is on the edge of blowing up, I swear. With the right confluence of events and songs, producers, promoters, this band could be absolutely massive, and I'm sure they're on the edge of that breakthrough with this album. It's just such a good metalcore album. The riffs are non-stop and super polished. The back and forth between the two vocalists is so much fun. You guys know I'm such a sucker for clean vocal, harsh vocal, and I really like that on this album. They do a really good job of featuring both vocalists pretty equally across the entire album. And man, I think they have a modern classic on their hands with this one. At number 13, we have A Eulogy for Those Still Here by Counterparts. If I could, I'd murder you myself! This album was my introduction to Counterparts, and I couldn't be more impressed. This album is incredibly emotional and hard-hitting with some really tear-jerking lyrics on some of the tracks, and also just some really hard-hitting angry lines on those breakdown callouts and stuff. This album just has a lot of really great nostalgic feeling for me. It just kind of has this like 2000s metalcore, post-hardcore sensibility mixed with modern production, and I really, really like that. At number 12, we have Goblin Hours by Bill Murray. This album is absolutely bonkers, and I don't know how to describe it properly. It's like you go from like top 40 pop rock to some really heavy modern metal back and forth for about 20 minutes. It's really, really wild. It's such a fun listen. It's a really good summer album. Roll the windows down, blast down the highway with this turned up all the way, and you're gonna have a great time. It's just a really cool fusion of multiple styles, and it's one of the few albums this year that kind of dares to make metalcore and alternative music fun. Every track is just so quirky and weird, but still full of heart and emotion. I really, really like this record, and it's definitely in my rotation going forward. At number 11, we have The Generation of Danger by Tala. Tala is a band doing something that no other band in the scene is doing, fusing like nu metal and metalcore and deathcore into this like insane mashup that is heavier than all of them on their own. I don't understand how they do it, but they are doing it. Justin is an incredible vocalist, and he is really shown off on this record. Lots and lots and lots of different vocal techniques spread out across this album. And it all kind of weaves together to tell this really weird and interesting story. It's got like a whole narrative, and you can apparently listen to the songs in different orders to get different stories. It's wild. This is a really cool concept album. But more than that, it's just a great album. Some of the sounds on here I've never heard before. The aggression is turned up to 11. It's just a lot of fun. At number 10, we have Iprevail's True Power. This record really surprised me. You know, I think that I often kind of write off generic metalcore albums, and this one, you know, I was kind of ready to do that with their kind of first single that they put out. I just wasn't super impressed with the first song that I heard off of this record, but as I heard more singles and as I heard more of the entirety of the album, I just fell in love, man. These songs are so catchy, but they're really bouncy and heavy at the same time, blending elements of like hip hop and stuff into really polished modern metalcore. It's a lot of fun, and I really like this record. I think Iprevail is going to be absolutely massive, even more so than they already are in the next couple of years. So be sure to go check out this album if you haven't already. At number 9, we have Pain Remains by Lorna Shore. This record is an experience. It is a massive record. It's not only very long, but it's incredibly ambitious. Each song flows from one to the other perfectly seamlessly, and it feels like one giant deathcore symphony. It's marvelous. Will Ramos's vocals are second to none. He is one of the best vocalists in this scene, and he's really shown off on this record, creating sounds that no human should ever and has never made before. It's wild, and I love it. Every track is just filled with so much emotion and depth. It's really impressive to see all these musicians at the top of their game and creating something that's so expressive and emotional in a genre that can just be kind of cliche sometimes. I think they've done something really special, and I'm also really excited to see what comes next. You know, they've seemed to have like perfected this like symphonic blackened deathcore thing, and I wonder if they're going to continue with that on the next album cycle, or if we're going to get into some other wild and crazy sounds. I really don't know, but I'm just here for the ride. At number 8, we have The Death of Peace of Mind by Bad Omens. This album is going to be on everyone's list. It's a really good album. I describe this album to some of my non-metalhead friends as if The Weeknd would scream occasionally and played guitar. It's a really beautiful and expressive album that just kind of fuses modern pop aesthetics with metalcore and alternative music in a way that we've seen before, but Bad Omens has now perfected. This album is definitely a must listen. It's going to be genre defining in the next couple years. Every band is going to be trying to sound like this, I guarantee it. Noah Sebastian's vocals are so good. He has such a beautiful singing voice, and it's some of the most gnarly, disgusting, harsh vocals as well. And they're really well balanced on this record. You get a good amount of both. And I think this is the best he's ever sounded. Do yourself a favor, and if you haven't heard this album, go check it out. Next, at number 7, we have Be Consumed by Vagrants. This is kind of a sleeper pick, honestly, but I had to sneak it in here because I love this album and no one's talking about it. This band is bringing back a sound that I really love. It's emotional. It's atmospheric. It's hard-hitting. The vocals are just pouring out the hard-hitting emotions that are in the lyrics. It's fantastic. If you like post-hardcore, if you like 2000s kind of nostalgic-y kind of music, this is for you. It really reminds me of some like early Underoath and stuff. I really like it. Definitely go check this one out if you haven't. At number 6, we have Euthanasia by Stray from the Path. This album is just fierce. It's ferocious. It's pissed off. It's just angry at the state of the world and those who are perpetuating these systems of abuse and power. It's really, really cathartic to listen to. It's one of those albums that I put on repeat on election day. You know, it's like modern day Rage Against the Machine, but heavier. They've perfected their sound on this album. It's bouncy, it's aggressive, it's got like hip hop influence in like the most fun way possible. Definitely check this album out if you are into Rage Against the Machine. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. At number 5, we have They Fear Us by Ithaca. Ithaca is also another band that's kind of bringing back that, you know, melodic hardcore, post-hardcore kind of feel from the 2000s, and I really, really like it. This one also reminds me of some kind of early-ish Underoath sounds, definitely for fans of Underoath and like counterparts maybe. It's really, really great sound, and they've nailed it on this one. Also another album that deals with some like political topics and talks about kind of like the state of the industry and the world and stuff, and the struggles that they've dealt with getting to where they are now. It's got a lot of texture and ambience strewn throughout all the tracks. This was a really hidden surprise for me. I didn't check it out till the end of the year, and boy, am I glad I did. At number 4, we have Dayseeker, Dark Sun. Now, you guys saw my reaction to this. This album is beautiful. It's such a wonderful exploration of grief. It brought me to tears. It's wonderful, you know. It's definitely a far cry from their older stuff in terms of metalcore or heaviness, but I don't think that's what this album is about. This album is definitely a way for Rory to work through his emotions and trauma from losing his father, and just the repercussions of that and the fallout of that, and just how it works itself out in all aspects of his life. It's really, really a beautiful piece of art, and you need to go check it out. Bring tissues, though. Before we get to my top 3 albums of the year, I just want to throw out a few quick honorable mentions. I had listened to a ton of music this year, and I couldn't fit it all in this list. So I just want to throw in some that I thought were absolutely amazing that you may not have heard, but you definitely should go check out. Euphoria by Enox, New Nostalgia by Dead American, Almighty Men by the Dali Thundering Concept, It Was Fun While It Lasted by Swaco, Prescribe Whatever by Mattstagram, and Mutilator by Gatherers. All these albums are fantastic, and you should definitely go check them out. I'm going to post my longer album list on Twitter, so if you guys want to check out the full extent of my albums of the year, you can go check that out on Twitter at David P. Wolf. But without any further ado, let's jump into my top 3 albums of the year. At number 3, we have In Stasis by Monuments. In my mind, this is perfection when it comes to modern progressive metalcore, and the addition of Andy Cizik on vocals is amazing. I love Andy's vocals. He's such a great singer and has amazing range in harsh vocals as well. Perfect technique. He's really a Swiss Army knife when it comes to vocals. The riffs are incredibly techy and fun on this album, you know. Sometimes when riffs get really, really technical like that, I can get kind of turned off because it just goes over my head and doesn't click with me like some of the more simple stuff. But this album grooves. It's really, really fun to bang your head to. Even though all this technical craziness is going on, you find a groove really, really easily with every track. It's a masterpiece. At number 2, we have Color Decay by The Devil Wears Prada. Prada has just been getting better and better every year. With the release of Zombie 2, they kind of brought back the heavy, and then they come back and hit us right away with songs like Sacrifice and Watchtower, just reminding us that they can do it all. And on this record, they really do it all. It's a really great album that I can't really pigeonhole into one genre. There's moments of emo on here, there's post-hardcore, There's metalcore, there's alternative rock, there's even some kind of like trap influenced alternative stuff. It's weird, but I love it. They really go to some cool places on this album. It's a really wide range of emotions, and they utilize both vocalists incredibly well. I think Mike and Jeremy sound as good as they've ever sounded on this record, especially Mike. I think his voice has really matured over the years, and I think this is the best he's ever sounded. I really, really love this record, and I'm going to be listening to it for years to come, I'm sure. And my number one album of the year is Rouge Carpet Disaster by Static Dress. Now, I have to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in everyone because I did not see this album on nearly enough album of the year lists. This album is a masterpiece. It's a work of art. There's not a second of boring filler on this album. Every piece of it is intentional. Every piece has been put there with a purpose and tells the story of this album. It's wonderful. If you like post-hardcore like I do, if you like vintage Underoath, I'm talking They're Only Chasing Safety kind of Underoath, please go listen to this album. I'm begging you. I have not felt like this about a record in a long time. I've had it on repeat. I've been coming back to it a lot, but it just gives me this feeling of nostalgia. Even though I was listening to it for the first time, it takes me back to high school in a way that no other album has in a while. It's really, really great. The vocals are raw and real. It's amazing to listen to. The riffs are crazy. The atmosphere is really, really great, and the variety is killer as well. You get a lot of great melodic parts, some really, really crushing heaviness, and some beautiful, like, shoegazy wonderfulness on the second to last track. Definitely go check out this album. Please do. It's amazing. So those were my top albums of the year for 2022. I would love to hear what your top 10 albums are in the comments. Please be sure to go and leave that down below. I'd love to hear what you thought was the best music of the year. I just want to come in here and also say thanks for the amazing support I've seen from this community for this channel over the year. We've really grown this year, and it's wild. I'm still kind of in shock that anyone watches my videos, never mind so many of you. It's wonderful. I really think that we're in a better place than we were last year, and I think I'm making videos that I'm proud of. I think I'm talking about music that I really want to talk about, and that's really what I want to do, honestly. I'm just glad that you guys are vibing with it. Come along for the ride in 2023. I know I said a lot of things last year that I was going to do, you know, covers and gear videos and whatever. I still do plan to do that kind of stuff. Hopefully this year, you know, things just get away from you. But I'm really hoping to do some cool stuff this year, bring some different kinds of content to you guys. But the core of this channel is going to remain music. Good alternative music, sharing the stuff that we like, and discovering new music together. I mean, what's better than that? Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything, and come along for the ride with wherever we go in 2023. That's going to do it for me today. I'll see you in the next one.